In this video, I'm going to walk you through how an 8-figure ecom brand manages cash flow. About 2 YouTube videos ago, I posted a video and a lot of you guys wanted me to break down how to actually build a 13-week cash flow projection, how to do it, why it's important, etc. And in this video, we're going to do it. It's going to be a very technical video, but you should get a lot of use out of it if you're not tracking cash flow for your brand already. With that said, once again, last 30 days, 1.84 million in revenue. I don't like showing this, but a lot of comments, like, he doesn't refresh or he doesn't show the numbers. It's fake. So there you go. You could see 1.84 last 30 days, online store, Amazon. There you go. So a couple of refresher points on cash flow here before we get into the actual template here is one, you need a very good understanding of when money is coming in and coming out to plan your investments, right? New content, new hires, etc. Cash equals growth. There are so many things you could be doing to scale right now. Why aren't you doing all of them? Well, simply lack of cash. Not enough people need more resources. This is why cash flow is important, because the more cash you have free and available for you to use to grow the business, the more content you can source, the more creators you could hire, the more employees you could hire, the more you could spend on ads, right? Whatever it may be, point is the more cash you have available, the faster you're going to grow. And if you have more cash available than your competitors and you use it properly and you invest it accordingly, you'll grow faster than them as well. So this is why improving your cash flow is so powerful and a competitive edge. Once again, if you have more cash available and use it well, you will grow faster. So that's why cash flow is important. A lot of you watching this may have cash flow problems, waiting for your credit card to be due with Facebook ad spend. You don't really have any real plan. You're just paying things as they come in. You don't know the difference between profit and loss and cash flow, etc. So only other point before I get into how to actually build it out, I'll just build it out live with you guys on this video here, is once again, profit is different than cash flow, right? Your P&L sheet, your income statement that you get at the end of the month that says 12.32% net profit, whatever the number is very, very different. You can be very profitable 15, 20%, 25% every single month and look in your bank account and have nothing there, right? That's because you need to understand when money comes into the account and when money leaves the account. Now, once again, this is not financial advice. I'm by no means a financial expert. This is just what I've been doing for my brand. And I think there's probably people who are way, 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 way better than this at me. In the sense of this, I'm a complete beginner. So take it with a grain of salt. This is what I've been doing with my brand. And I'm the CFO for my brand. I don't have an actual CFO or anything like that yet. So once again, I had to put that out there. With that being said, let's get into it. So this is the cash flow template that I made for this video. Now, if you want the template, there's a link in the description. Click it, put in your email, and we'll send it over to you. Now, with that being said, how do we actually use this? So you can see it's 13 weeks. Honestly, I do not know why it's 13 weeks. I think it's a long enough time frame where you don't have to go much longer than that, but you at least want, your 3 months-ish. Now, I don't know why they stopped at 12. They decided to go 3 months and 1 week is what it is. But this way you can update your cash flow and project it for the quarter. So you have each week here, and from here, it's just from January. You come in and change the dates as you want, but you can see each is 7 days. Jan 13 to Jan 19 is the Monday to the Sunday. Then you have 20 to 26, which is the Monday to the Sunday, and so on and so on and so on. Then we have projected MER, which is your blended ROAS across the business, and your actual MER. The reason why we have these two here is you want to get better at your projections week over week. You should get to a point where when you input this, it's very, very accurate with what actually comes true, okay? So it's important you fill this out every single week, and then you take note of it and you improve this as you go along. So first, projected MER. Let's say, once again, you spend $1 and historically you've been able to get back 2.85. That's your projected MER. Let's drag this out for all 13 weeks just to start. When the week's done, you'll come here and put what the actual one is so you can see how far off you were. Then we can start looking at our promotion calendar, right? Maybe in February, we have a Valentine's Day sale and we think that we'll be up to, I don't know what Valentine's Day is, but maybe we'll be up to a 3 this week, right? And then maybe we think that's going to last for these 2 weeks in a row. Then maybe historically, the last couple of weeks of March isn't very good for us, and we're at a 2.7 instead of a 2.85, right? And this is how you'd be, try to think of it. If you don't know, you don't know. Just take your best guess, like 2.85. It's pretty consistent across the board. Just put it for all 13 weeks. And once again, the whole point here is you're not going to be perfect. You're going to be very far off to start. Every week you come in here, you update it. You know your numbers very closely, and you can improve it as you go along, okay? So that's how that works. Now, your beginning cash. This is all of your cash accounts. So on January 13th, right, when you come in here on January 13th, what is your beginning cash? This is, all the cash in your bank accounts. This is your PayPal and whatever other payment processor where you have money sitting in. okay? And if you have money sitting in Shopify payments that's going to be paid out to you, but it's not in your bank account yet, don't put it in because that'll show up here, okay? So beginning cash is just in the bank account, already in the bank account. It doesn't need to be processed in your bank account. What's there? Let's say, for this example, you got 100,000. Oops, 100,000. Cool. Now, on to revenue. These are different revenue sources. For here I have Shopify and Amazon for the example. You could have Shopify, you could have Amazon, maybe you got TikTok Shop, whatever it may be, right? For this example, let's just pretend you have Shopify and Amazon. This is how much revenue enters your bank account each week. Now, you'll get 80% accuracy or 85% accuracy if you just take your projection for weekly revenue. If you want to get a little bit more nitty gritty and get a little bit more accuracy, you have to take into account once again when the money's into your account, because knowing that the revenue from Saturday, Sunday won't be in your account between the 13th to 19th because Shopify will pay that out to you on the Tuesday, right? It won't show up under this week. So keep that in mind. So if you want to get nitty gritty, you can once again say, okay, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday revenue will actually go into next week's projections, not this week. But to keep it simple, which I recommend you do, if this is overcomplicating too much, you're not going to do it. Just keep it simple. Just put the revenue that you're going to be doing every 7 days. So if you go look at the last 7 days and you say, okay, on average per week, let's say, keep it easy, we're doing 50,000 a week. Right? Now to start, this is what I like to do. I just drag it over all the way. Okay. Now that we're at 50,000 a week, once again, we could go back to the marketing calendar. Do we think we're going to increase or decrease some weeks? So once again, we're just taking our best guess here. If once again, it's pretty consistent at 2.85, whatever it may be, just leave it across the board. So 3, okay, we think it's going to get a big increase this week. Maybe we're up to 75,000 these 2 weeks. Then, like I said, this 2.7 week, these are typically slightly worse. Maybe we're down to 40. Okay, and we could drag those over to 2.7, then we're back up to 50, right? And once again, if you're scaling, you think you're gonna be scaling, this could go 50 here, then up to 75, then up to 100, up to 200, whatever it may be. Once again, you're taking your best guess. Then let's say with Amazon, you're doing 10,000 a week. Why not? Drag this out. And let's say, okay, typically on these sale days, you spend a little bit more on Facebook, means you get more revenue on Amazon. This goes up to 15,000, an extra 5,000 revenue there. And then here's slightly lower again, right? Go like this, 7.5. And these are all examples. Obviously, I'm just throwing in random numbers, but you get the point. Now we move on to expenses. Now you can organize this in 2 different ways. I have this example here, card 1, card 2, card 3. This is, your credit card 1, credit card 2, credit card 3, shipping invoices. Point is, any variable expense you want to put in here. Now we're trying to account for everything we can, but still keep this sheet as simple as possible. So the way I like to do it is I'd put it in by credit card, because then I could simply track when my credit cards are due and the amount on them. If you want to group it by software or apps and subscriptions, you can as well. I think it just gets a little bit more messy because obviously those expenses are getting paid from somewhere, some card, debit card, credit card, and you need to know when it's due, right? When the payment will leave your bank account. That's the whole point. We're not saying, okay, week over week, my average apps and subscriptions cost is $500 a week. No, that's what your profit loss is. We're not trying to build a profit loss sheet here. Once again, we're trying to figure out when it leaves your account. So if you put that on your Amex, or whatever it may be, when is that Amex due, right? And the amount of the Amex. So, for example, let's keep it simple. Most of you guys will probably just have one Amex. Let's say maybe you got a second credit card, and then you got shipping invoices from your 3PL, whatever it may be. So we'll put 3PL invoices. Let's just keep it simple. Let's say that's that. You'd put in whatever else you have, right? Now fixed. Once again, very simple would be your employees, people, fixed costs. The amounts don't change week over week or month over month. They're fixed and consistent, right? So for this example, let's just put people. But maybe you want to put your owners like dividends here, things like this, okay? Or maybe you have a tax bill coming in, and you know the exact amount, it's not going to change. That's a fixed cost due at some point. That would also show up here. Okay, so let's say Amex 1. Let's say your Amex is due the 30th of every month, to keep it simple, right? And once again, you'd actually know your average amount on the credit card. Every week you look at this, go look at your statements, et cetera, and you'll know what your average is. For this example, let's say once again we're doing 60,000 revenue a week at 2.85, right? So 60 divided by 2.85 ROAS, that would mean we spent about $21,050 on ads to get that. Now, give or take, maybe we have some apps and subscriptions on there, whatever it may be. What we'll say, to make this example super easy, Amex 1 will be ad spend. Amex 2 will be apps, subscriptions, and fees, or whatever it may be, something like that, okay? To keep it super simple. So do the 30th, This Amex One card, we spent about $21,052 for that. And let's just say on average, once again, every 30 days, there you go, on the 30th. And that's it there, right? So that's what would be when the Amexes are due. Now let's say, just so it's not on the same 30th here, so you can see an example here. Let's say your Amex 2 for app subscriptions and fees are due the 15th of every month. And let's say that's about $5,000. Okay, so that's the 15th. You can see here, here's the 15th. Here's the 15th. And April 15th will be just after that. So that's it. Now, let's say for the 3PL invoices, maybe we're doing $60,000 a month. Let's say they're 10 grand, for example, right? And let's say these are due weekly for you, right? From the previous week's orders. You got 10,000, and that's every week. There you go. And once again, you would do this with anything else you have. Now, let's say you have a couple of people hired, a couple of VAs, a creative strategist, whatever it may be. Let's say your payroll is about, I don't know, call it $4,000 a month to keep it simple. That's $1,000 a week. And actually, so this would be $1,000 a week if you pay weekly. Now let's assume you don't pay weekly, which most people don't. Let's say you pay bi-weekly, right? You're at $2,000 bi-weekly. And let's just say you pay on the, I don't know, 10th and 25th of every month, right? So there's the 25th, 10th, 25th, 10th, 25th, 10th. You get the point. Anything other fixed expenses you put in there. There you go. Now, the last section here is purchase order payments. Now, if you're drop shipping, for the most part, you're not going to have this, so you could just hide this section or not use it. Now, if you're buying inventory, you're going to need to know, well, when are you paying for that inventory, right? So you have your different SKUs, and once again, you can organize this by 30% down payments for your inventory and then your 70%, or it could be the shipping cost to get to the 3PL on one, and then instead of, their COGS on the other one, right? You can organize it how you want, points, keep it simple. So here by SKU, let's just say SKU 1, you need to place another order for 15,000 or whatever, let's go 7,500 on the 20, not 75,000. On the 2nd of February, SKU 2, here you need to spend, I don't know, maybe it's just parts or something, maybe it's a little cheaper of a SKU. You just need $750 for this one. Then SKU 3, you're good for a while. You have a lot of inventory, but over here you got to place a big order for 10. And then maybe you got a 4th SKU, and you want to split it up in 2 different payments, a 30% down. Let's say you're paying 30,000 here. Let's go 3,000 here. Oh God, 1, 2, there we go, 3,000 here. And then your next payment to ship it to your 3PLs due 2 weeks later, and that's the remaining 7,000, your $10,000 invoice, right? So I'm putting in random numbers here. You get the point. You input everything here of when you're paying it, not when you receive it, not when it's due, unless you're paying exactly on the due date, then that's fine. Once again, you're putting this in here when it's leaving your bank account. When it's leaving your bank account. If you're paying it with a credit card, well, it would be on the credit card here then, right? Point is, all these numbers are put in when you're paying it. So once again, the credit cards, that's due on the 30th, and there's a $21,000 balance on the credit card. I'm paying it on the 30th, so it goes here. If you pay your card early because you need cash flow available on your credit card and you pay it on the 20th, it would go here. Point is, this changes week over week. Things change in your business. You come here at the start of the week, you input the numbers, and then you move things around as needed to update it accordingly. Okay? Now we scroll down, and now we have a total cash outflow. So how much cash is leaving our account that week, the increase/decrease of cash coming in each week, and then your ending cash. And once again, if you get better and better and better at this, your ending cash should get very close to what actually ends up being your starting cash next week. Okay? So once again, for this projection this week, you input all these numbers, you're starting with 100. You project by Jan 19th, you're at $145,000 ending cash. You should be pretty close the better you get at this. Now here, there's a little section here. You can input when your payments are due. That way you don't have to go back and always go to Amex, whatever, to check and reference it. Card 1, due X. Card 2, due X. You can input that. And then once again, what I like to do as well, just put in when you last updated it to make sure it is, you know how lately it's been updated, if someone else is doing it for you, etc. Now, what I would recommend, once again, every single Monday, come in here and you should be doing it yourself for the most part. I do this myself in my brand. It's very important to understand this to have what's available. Now, what you'll see, if we change up these numbers a bit, because this is a very cash flowing business here, but let's say tariffs hit or you need a big purchase order for a new SKU you're launching. Let's say SKU 5 here. You got to put a huge order, just for a random example, of 35,000 here. And then you have to pay another 75 here, right? Now what you can see is you see some red decreases, right? And now you can plan accordingly to say, okay, look, this week I'm going to lose 13,000, but I have 178K in cash still, so I'm completely fine. And whether you're dealing with hundreds of thousands or hundreds or just thousands of dollars, it doesn't make a difference. You should be using this. Why? Because you will have red weeks when you have a credit card due and a lot of invoices due, and you need to know, okay, well, do I have enough cash to once again float this? How much cash do I have available to invest into new opportunities? And ideally, still have a safety fund of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months of your fixed cost, right, to play it safe. Because you never know what's going to happen, like these tariffs. So, we just got on pause as you're watching this, which is great. This news came out today, but you never know. Who knows? 90 days from now, it could be back to 300%. Who knows? Point is, prep for the worst and you will survive. So now let's say you do want to go invest in more things. Let's say you want to go hire somebody, right? And they're $2,000 a month or something like that, right? And let's say your people cost, right, if you want to put it in basic terms like that, is going to increase by $2,000 bi-weekly. But you're not hiring them right away. They could only start on February 25th. Okay, well, here you go. Let's say you start paying them that at that date. There you go. You would input this. And now you come down here, like, okay, cool, we're still in the green, could still float it, we're completely fine. Now let's say, for whatever reason, you want to go do a huge influencer campaign with Kim Kardashian. It's going to cost you 500 grand, right? Why not? We'll put here, influencer campaign Kim K. And let's say you were planning to do this on Jan 27th. And once again, this is like 600. Now you come here and say, holy shit, I can't afford it, right? A very dumbed down example, but point is negative 421. Now you say, okay, well, what if we were able to split up the payments with Kim K and we were able to do, I don't know, say 200 here and then 200 every 2 weeks after that. Okay, we still can't afford it, but we're getting closer to being able to afford it. What if we only pay upfront 50 and then over here we show up with the other 150? Okay, still not, and point is you could play around with things and move it around. You could do this with, okay, I want to increase ad spend. I want to drop my MER to get more volume. I want to invest into X software or Y software or whatever. You get the point. You can come in here. You have your baseline of what you're looking at in terms of your average, your normal cash flow projections. That's always pretty consistent. Your Amex card's pretty consistent. Your second credit card's pretty consistent. App subscriptions and fees are pretty consistent. 3PL invoices are pretty consistent. Your purchase order payments are pretty consistent. And then you can come in here and add any additional investments you're going to make and have a clear picture of your ending cash, how much cash you have available, etc. Okay? Hopefully this was useful. If you have any follow-up questions, please let me know. It was a very technical video. Once again, if you want the template, links in the description, input the email, and we'll send it to you. And yeah, hopefully it was useful. I'll see you in the next one.